Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast.
What is up, everybody, here on a Monday night? We're here to talk some NBA. I got JG with us. My name's Tanner. We are missing Mike, but that's all right. He's on his way back from Talladega down in Alabama, so I'm sure he had a blast there. JG, how's the day?
It's going great. Just ready to talk about a little bit of NBA here. You got Celtics Nets are playing right now. It's 90-84 Celtics, about 10 minutes left in that fourth quarter. And I want to see how this dumpster fire that we call the Nets comes to a close this season. So
Definitely.
Kind of a brutal, if you're a Nets fan out there, it's brutal to watch. But
A little bit of a drama fest over there.
See what happens.
So, before we get into it, guys, here, real quick reminder, this Thursday, NFL Draft, we will have our live show. We'll have multiple interviews. We might even have a former pro football player on towards the end of the draft as well. So, check that out. Keep tuned. And come join the discussion as well. Come chat with us as well. Get your reactions, your thoughts. We'll have multiple podcasters from multiple teams, their teams. That's the best part, is we want to see their reaction. So come check it out Thursday night for the first round of the NFL Draft. Come check out this channel. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook will be live. Jason, you got a new shirt there before we hop in too, man. What's that?
Sir. I finally got it. I've been waiting on it. Get my Rock Chalk Jayhawk National Championship t-shirt.
That's right.
So I'm rocking the same one that was worn by the players, and I'm pretty excited about it. Go Jayhawks.
Hard work, hardware. I love it. All right, Jason, let's hop into some NBA discussion here. Obviously, the playoffs here, we're going into Game 4 as of tonight, and there's a lot of drama on the Nets series here. Not only the Celtics winning here currently in the fourth with 10 minutes left at 90-84, but the Nets by itself is creating the largest drama I have heard about since maybe LeBron 3 years ago or so. So what's up with this? Ben Simmons had a chance to play. He was sore, so he's out. And he's not being ruled out by the Nets by any means, but the guy's dressing up so much color on him while the rest of the bench is black. It doesn't seem like he's getting up. The teammates aren't interacting with him. And you got broadcasters like Stephen A. Smith, Jay Will from ESPN. Jay Will doesn't diss anybody, and he was dissing Ben Simmons. This guy will defend anybody. He did not like the way Ben Simmons has approached this postseason here, especially when your team is down 3-0 to the Celtics playing at home, and now you're possibly going to get swept here. Like, what's your thoughts here on this whole drama situation with the Nets?
Well, you brought up LeBron James drama from 3 years ago. Let's just compare it to LeBron James drama right now. I mean, that guy's got drama almost every year. I mean, the Lakers are just as big of a dumpster fire, if not a bigger dumpster fire than the Brooklyn Nets. So there's always drama around the Lakers, especially this year. As far as Ben Simmons is concerned, the guy, I'm not sure the guy wants to play, okay? And I don't know if he has a legitimate injury. It's always either his back hurts or he's got psychological issues. I'm not convinced that the guy even wants to play basketball because, he did quit on LSU back in the day, and he quit on Philly. And now we don't know what's going to happen with the Nets, but, I, for one, would like to see the guy play. He's an amazing talent. He made the All-Star team 3 years in a row, first team All-Defense 2 years in a row, and now all of a sudden I don't know if we're going to ever see this guy play again. And so very difficult to watch if you're a Nets fan, but also just as a general basketball fan like myself, I want to see the best talent on the court. And that's not happening right now. And the Nets organization as a whole, as we know, we just alluded to, is an absolute disaster. And I think you're not going to see Kyrie on the team next year. I don't see how that's going to happen because he is going to opt out of that contract. He's going to opt out. He's going to be wanting $50 million a year. And the only way the Nets are going to pay him that is if it's on a 1-year deal. And honestly, I'm not sure any team in the NBA would give him a long-term deal. But if Kyrie wants a long-term deal, which he may not, then yeah, maybe he could be around one more year. But if I were the general manager, Bobby Marks, I'd blow the whole thing up and start over. Maybe you would always want to keep Kevin Durant, but I don't really care. I don't have to have Ben Simmons or Kyrie Irving on that team. So a lot of people think that the general managers should be fired. Well, I don't really see it. I mean, you got to blame the players. You got to, I guess you could blame Steve Nash a little bit, but gosh, honestly, even though he's only a first-year head coach, you got guys that don't want to play. I mean, you could fucking throw Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich out there. Those fucking guys couldn't coach this team. I can tell you that right the fuck now. So, it's a disaster. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, you can't blame management for making the right trades for a team that needed depth for a guy that was supposed to come back just after that trade and who delayed for months. It was, we're on the verge. We're going to, wait, never mind. We're sore. We're hurt. We're hurt again. Playoff. Game 4. Nope, never mind. We're not going to do it. So you can't blame Nash. Again, first-year head coach, like, hey, we're going to hire you on. You know what? You're out. GM, same thing. Your players won't play for you. Well, they won't play. It's not their fault they won't play. They made the right moves.
Yeah, you're not going to blame Steve Nash, even though he probably will get fired. But like I said, I've heard people out there, they're blaming Bobby Marks, the GM. How much sense does that make? That makes no sense whatsoever. You got a guy in James Harden who said, I'm out of here, dude. And then they got a monster haul for him, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't just Ben Simmons. They got 2 draft picks. I believe they were both first rounders. They got Andre Drummond and Seth Curry. They got a monster haul. So these idiots out there that want to blame the GM Bobby Marks don't know too much about, front office basketball.
No, if Simmons was healthy, your 2 bench players would actually be playing coming from the depth. Joe Harris is out this year because of injury. So you're missing like 3 key guys on your Nets team that you need to be able to have a full team. And now you're looking at another early round exit, currently with the Celtics. It's NFL on my mind. It doesn't stop. So, but the Celtics here are going to kick him out. And the fans are frustrated. We get it. You're frustrated. But guess what? That's not how you keep a team. You're going to turn it into the Knicks. The Knicks is your next move right now. And it's not going to be good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do decide to keep Kyrie Irving on a 1-year deal. But as far as the rest of that's a great roster, especially as you said with Joe Harris coming back next year. That's a great roster, and I think if I was going to move any piece on that team, obviously Ben Simmons, we have an issue with him, but I'm moving Kyrie. I'm moving Kyrie, and it has nothing to do with the vaccination issue because. Hopefully that won't be an issue at all.
Should be gone.
Year. So, but the guy, he just doesn't want to play regular season basketball games. Doesn't matter if it's the vaccination policy or if remember before this year, the guy would get injured almost every single year. And so we all know that in the NBA, small guards, those guys they're the ones that will have their bodies break down faster than any other position, outside of maybe a big like Anthony Davis. We all know he's breaking down. But the small guards like Kyrie Irving, the guy's he's been breaking down his whole career, probably going to break down next year. So that would be the guy that I would move off of. And while we're talking about dumpster fires, let's go ahead and bring up the Lakers just for a second, because I said that, mid-season before AD got injured. I said, move off of him, because I promise you he will get injured. You might as well get what you can get for him right now. But no, Rob Pelinka, say what you want about him. I'm not going to say he's a bad GM, but he's definitely not a great one. You should have moved off AD, and that's what I think the Brooklyn Nets should do. They got to move off Kyrie before he gets injured.
All right, let's play GM real quick. All right, you brought up the Lakers. Got an interesting fact here. Let's play GM. All right, you're the franchise or GM of 2 different franchises, the Lakers and the Nets. The Lakers side. Are you moving on from AD?
I mean, at this point, I think you have to keep him because, if they would have done like I said and moved off of him before the injury, could have got some value there. I think definitely if he starts out hot, then I think that's the Lakers' best hope. If he starts out hot, leading up to that trade deadline, I'm going to see what I can get for the guy because if he starts out hot, he's going to get injured again, and I would try to get a haul for him. But we all know the Lakers aren't going to do that. It's not, I don't think Rob Pelinka is stupid. A lot of people think that, oh, he doesn't know anything about basketball. Well, he was a part of the Fab Five in Michigan, so give him a little credit there. He does know a little bit about the game of basketball, but do I think he has the balls to move off AD? I mean, I'm not going to give him that. I mean, not everybody can be like JG or Bill Belichick. We'll use him as an example. And move
or Popovich.
You got to move off of these guys at the right time. And I don't necessarily think that Rob Pelinka has the balls to do that. But, yeah, definitely. The first chance I get, if I can get value, I'm moving off AD for sure.
All right, then on the Nets side here, Kyrie Irving. We officially done with him then? Are we not going to try to re-sign him? Or try to encourage the player side of it?
See, that's when it becomes interesting because if I'm a general manager running the team and nobody has any influence, yes, I'm going to move off Kyrie. But the problem is Kyrie and KD, not only are they trying to play head coach ahead of Steve Nash, I think they're playing a little bit of GM as well. Players like Kyrie and KD, they have a lot of power. LeBron has a lot of power, even in the front office. And so I think Kevin Durant is going to go to Bobby Marks and say, yeah, let's if you could just give him a 1-year deal, I want to run it back with Kyrie. And Bobby Marks will probably listen to him. But, yeah, I mean, the Ben Simmons thing would be, I don't know. There's probably no value for Ben Simmons. So with the Nets, you either have to run it back or you have to completely start over. And that would include either convincing Kevin Durant that, yeah, we're moving off of your boy, Kyrie. Are you going to stay or are you going to go? And if he threatens to leave, then so be it. You might have to start from scratch. But, yeah, if they can get a buy-in from Kevin Durant to actually move off of Kyrie, then, yeah, absolutely I'm doing it.
All right. And before we move on to the next set of teams here, the next series, if Kyrie does leave, where does he play next year? Any idea right now?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think, he's probably going to want to go to a playoff contender, not necessarily a championship contender, but the question becomes, who's going to take him? I mean, I've heard talks about the Utah Jazz blowing it up and starting over, so...
Yeah, I've heard to that. Yep.
Kyrie Irving maybe on the Utah Jazz. I mean, if they're willing to add him to their books, but none of these teams will give him a long-term deal. But if he's not on the Nets next year, I mean, gosh, dude, if they get rid of him, he can just say, "Dude, I'm pulling a Mike Krzyzewski here. I'm done."
Here's my theory. He goes to the Hornets.
Oh no! Oh,
play with LaMelo. MJ's like, "Come on, baby."
You're only saying that because you know how much of a bad president of basketball operations MJ is.
Yeah.
He's the only guy out there that's in charge of front office that would be more likely to make a bad decision like that to bring in a guy like Kyrie. And I love the Hornets, dude. I hope you're wrong. I don't think anyone wants to see that shit.
I don't think so either. All right, and then we'll come back to it here. 5 minutes left of the fourth. Celtics are up 102-99, so there's still a chance. So, but we'll see what happens. All right, halftime series right now. The Raptors 76ers 54-41. Philadelphia leads 3-1 in this series. What's our thoughts here? What's our take? Is Philadelphia finally going to come back and close this one out, or do the Raptors have a little momentum going now?
Yeah, I think for the most part, you just got to keep your eye on Joel Embiid. So he's playing with that hand injury, and it is actually on his shooting hand. So far tonight, he is 4 of 8 from the field for 13 points. Tobias Harris having a pretty good game. That's a pretty decent lead there. But it's 3-1, and I think that Philly has to figure out a way to win this game, right? Because they're playing at home. So you got to take care of business here. You got to step on Toronto's throats when they're down. I'm not too concerned about that halftime score, but moving forward, I am concerned about that Embiid injury, because he is going to have surgery, but he says, I'm going to play through it no matter what. I personally had the Philadelphia 76ers as my favorites, after we've seen all of these injuries that happened, especially to guys like Chris Middleton and the Bucks. I thought, okay, well, then you could slide in Philadelphia to win the East. Well, now all of a sudden Joel Embiid is injured, and so now I don't know really what to expect in the East. But I think with Philadelphia, my favorite thing about them is the fact that they acquired James Harden, and the fact that Tyrese Maxey, who was playing point guard earlier in the year, that's not really his natural position.
It's not.
Now that Harden's in there running the show, Tyrese Maxey looks so much more comfortable now playing off the ball, and he's an up-and-coming star, maybe even superstar in this league. So very exciting to watch him. James Harden is fitting in very nicely. James Harden this game, he's only started out 2 for 7, so he's not having a great game so far. But I love what I see from the Sixers. But you put them up against the Bucks. I mean, sure, it's going to be one of those teams that come out of the East, but I've got to wait until these injuries stop happening to know who the heck is going to come out of the East. And meanwhile, looking at that halftime score, I'm a little concerned about 76ers just coming out of this series. I mean, I think they will, because you also have Fred VanVleet, who is injured. He's not even playing in this game. So it could get wild for sure, but I do trust Philadelphia to win this series, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, and real quick here, Ultimate Gaming just commented, former Chiefs Kingdom, on here for regular to our show. So just checking in, saying how you guys are doing. What's up, Ultimate Gaming? We're doing great, man. Fabulous time, fabulous week. Jason, I gotta kind of agree with you. I think the thing that hurts the 76ers the most is, one, you have to rely on James Harden in the playoffs when Embiid's not fully healthy, and two, you lost all your depth in the James Harden trade. You don't have anybody. The Raptors at least have some people they can count on the depth side. So that's going to kill the 76ers. And this is Toronto's chance to stop the throat. Try to get back into the tie the series here so they can take it to Game 7. So this is Toronto's only chance with them being not fully healthy.
And I was with you there, Tanner. When that trade first happened, I was very concerned about the depth on the Sixers. But now, all of a sudden, you look back, Tobias Harris didn't really do a whole lot immediately after that trade.
No,
but
he didn't.
Since they didn't have Seth Curry, they basically had to figure out a way to get Tobias Harris involved, and now he's playing great right now, and so is Tyrese Maxey. And so I just like their starting lineup. I love their starting lineup, and I don't really think they need to worry about depth, especially to come out of the East. Now, if they somehow make it to the finals, whoever goes to the finals and has to face Golden State, they're going to have possibly all kinds of issues. But yeah, I think that I love that roster. I love Tobias Harris. Like I said, Tyrese Maxey, he's not a household name, but he's a lot better than you guys think, and he's an up-and-coming star. And I think they should be fine to get out of this series. And we'll just have to see if it ends up being them versus the Bucks in the Eastern Conference standings or championship or whatever you want to call it. That'll be an interesting series.
It will be. It'll be kind of interesting to see exactly what goes on here. So, but hey, let's get a quick update here. 2:50 left, fourth quarter, 109 to 103 Celtics. So, shall we move on to the next series, Jason?
Let's do it.
All right. The Booker-less Suns Booker-less right now. It is hurting them, costing them games. So, I don't know what's going on here. Are the Suns that we saw all year long provide such great depth. They were able to win and everything. What are we thinking? What are we seeing?
Yeah, it's tough to put my finger on one particular thing outside of not having Devin Booker on the floor because, as I stated on the podcast last week, I mean they've got the youth and the athleticism to match up with, certainly New Orleans and basically anybody in the West outside of maybe Golden State. They match up very well, but I mean DeAndre Ayton. That last game played like a man. Like I said, he would have to. He definitely stepped up. Mikal Bridges is another guy I said would have to step up. Not so much. He was 4 of 11. Cam Johnson, 4 of 12. And I think it's going to be very difficult for these guys that have limited playoff experience to really find their role on the team. I mean, but you can always step up on defense. Even if you're trying to fill that void by not having Devin Booker score all those points, even if you're having a bad shooting night, you can always show up on defense. And I think that's got to be the focus for the rest of this series with New Orleans. New Orleans, I'm not going to be shocked if they figure out a way to win this series. Chris Paul, I mean, he's got to do a lot of heavy lifting now that Devin Booker's out, and I'm not so sure that he can do that at 37 years old or 50 or however old that guy is.
Yeah.
Because Brandon Ingram, that guy's a monster, dude. He had 30 points in the last game. Jonas Valanciunas had 26 points. And C.J. McCollum, you can't really sleep on him. He had 18 points in that last game. Didn't really have that great of a game. So what the fuck are you going to do if C.J. McCollum shows up in the next game, even though it will be in Phoenix? I ultimately don't think Phoenix is going to have trouble winning this series. But, the big question is how long is Devin Booker going to be out? Because he's got to come back healthy at least to play Golden State. I mean, if they series, if they end up playing Golden State, I mean, can you imagine what of a joke of a series this would be? It might probably be a sweep. It quite honestly would probably be a sweep because that's that. And I'm not trying to tell you how much of an elite team Golden State is. Well, except I am trying to tell you that. I'm just trying to tell you.
But it's true.
How much of an elite talent Devin Booker is, and the fact that when you don't have him, I mean that team could go sideways really quick, especially against a team like Golden State.
Right, and I mean that's just the truth though. Without Booker, they're nothing. They are nothing without Booker. That's the difference between being out Chris Paul and being out Booker. Two different talents. One guy can carry the team, one guy can't.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Again, looking on the that New Orleans Pelicans roster, the big three, I guess you would call them. They're not really a big three, but just for this argument, Jonas Valanciunas, C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram. I mean, definitely C.J. McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas. Those guys have a lot of playoff experience. The Phoenix Suns, that young roster, like they have last year in the finals, and still a lot of young players. I mean, I'm tempted to roll with the veterans here in this series, but I mean that would be a heartbreaker to have to see CP3 get knocked out yet again and not even get a chance to make it to the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals.
That'd be a shame. And it's funny too. You just mentioned Brandon Ingram, who was number 2 in the draft, to the number 1 Ben Simmons, who isn't on the court. So. There you go. Somebody's producing in that draft, and it's Brandon Ingram.
Hey, that's NFL, NBA. Somebody out of every single draft will produce. That's the great thing about sports.
That's right. All right. So, Golden State, we kind of talked roughly on Golden State. They just got done with the Nuggets, so now they get to sit and wait for whoever they play next. I don't know. Do you think this team is now they're on top? They got the momentum going. Steph's healthy. Everybody's clicking. They got the big five essentially rolling on that team. Do they have anything to really worry about at this moment?
I think the only thing they have to worry about is what a lot of these teams are already worried about, and that's injury. And they are the current odds-on favorite in Vegas to win the championship. But one of the reasons for that is they're the only 100% healthy team. So health plays an important part in this equation here. And yeah, they are the favorite. You mentioned the Big Five. I mean, it's kind of whatever you want to call it. I mean, to me, it's just kind of a big three. But Draymond also, he's been in many All-Star games. Andrew Wiggins, yeah, he made one All-Star game. Well, what do you want to call it? The Big 4.5?
Yeah.
I'll call it the Big 4.5 because Wiggins probably shouldn't have been in the All-Star game this year. But the guy's healthy, and what we didn't know back in the day about Wiggins is that he can actually play defense and he can play team basketball. And the Warriors, shoot, man, if they had Ben Simmons right now, they probably could fix him because they've just turned a guy that was in the G League, Jordan Poole. He's on the cusp of becoming an NBA superstar. I wouldn't be shocked if Jordan Poole is the Finals MVP if the Warriors do win the Finals, because Steph Curry, I don't know if you guys heard, but he's still coming off the bench, and they are on such a roll right now that there's talk out there that they might just roll with this same starting lineup until the end. Even in the NBA Finals, they might still have Steph Curry come off the bench just because they're on fire right now and they don't want to mess with any of their lineups. Just because if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the other thing you're going to do by keeping Jordan Poole in that starting lineup is you're going to boost his confidence, not just this year, but moving forward. I mean, the guy is, 22, 23 years old? I mean, his ceiling, I mean, when you watch the guy play, he basically looks like he's modeling himself off of Steph Curry. The only difference is he's more aggressive. He's more likely to just, be a slasher and take it to the rim. Steph Curry will do that on occasion and put up his little floaters. But could you imagine that if Jordan Poole were to become Steph Curry on steroids? I mean, that's the new face of the Warriors. And so, yeah, he's going to have his growing pains. I'm not sure, he'll probably have his ups and downs the rest of the playoffs. But so far, he had a rough game that last outing, 3 of 10 for 11 points. But before that, I think he was averaging 26, 28 points a game, something like that.
He was pretty high up there,
yeah,
around that 30 mark.
So, and then you've got depth. The other thing we talked about, they got plenty of depth on that team. You've got Kevon Looney, that can body up with the bigs. You got Otto Porter, who can shoot threes and give you some quality minutes. Gary Payton II. This team is loaded when you compare them to teams like Bucks and the Suns, who've got key guys that are injured right now.
Yeah, no, it's just amazing. It's just amazing how healthy this Warriors team is at this point in the season, and with this much rest to go now too. So who knows if the Suns Pelicans even go 7?
I didn't even mention Klay Thompson. Did I mention Klay Thompson?
No, you didn't even mention Klay Thompson.
It's like 7 out of 11 from 3, 32 points in that last game. So it's like
it's amazing.
You have the original Splash Brothers. Now you've got a third Splash Brother, and now you want to call them the Big 4.5. Whatever it is, dude. If they stay healthy, you might as well give them the trophy right now, because I don't think the Bucks. I do think the Bucks could match up well with them because they're a good defensive team. But we have no idea what you're going to get out of Chris Middleton. The guy's probably, if he's
out
back,
for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to step back in offensively, but defensively, like, he's one of their best defenders. And if you can't count on him, if he doesn't have the same lateral movement when he comes back from that knee injury, I mean, the guy's got to be able to play defense, or it's going to be a wrap. Like I said, the Warriors are going to torch either one of those teams, the Bucks or the Suns or the Sixers. Honestly, the Sixers, if Joel Embiid is actually healthy enough to play, at 90%, the Sixers probably have the best chance. But then again, you got another guy like James Harden, who's a liability on defense. Although, it's kind of a wash with him and Steph Curry.
It's kind of a liability in purpose. Defense,
but
in real life.
Honestly, the Sixers might be the best matchup at this point.
All right, well, let's lead into that here. Jason, as the Nets Celtics wind up with 7 seconds left. Celtics are up 113 to 109. 7 seconds left. So we'll see what happens there. But you talked about the Bucks a little bit here. The Bucks are leading 3-1 to the Bulls, to the DeRozan and the Levine Bulls, who just hasn't got anything really going against these guys. So, I mean, what are we looking here for the Bucks? Are they going to be able to close the series now on Wednesday at home?
Yeah, I would say out of all the series that we've talked about so far, this is the one that you can basically take to the bank. I mean, they're up 3-1. They didn't even have Chris Middleton in that last game. They just fucking torched Chicago. Drew Holiday, I mean, he's going to have to do a lot going forward, but this series is over. I have no concerns about this series. They put in Bobby Portis into the starting lineup.
Yeah.
He's going to get you a lot of rebounds. He's obviously not as good as having Middleton in there to score all those points, but obviously got some issues with their depth. Wes Matthews gave him like 26 minutes, but he didn't really do shit offensively. Brook Lopez didn't really do much in that game, but it'll be interesting to see how they operate without Chris Middleton. I do not think it's going to be easy, no matter who they play in that next round.
But this is a team, too, that had a lot of depth guys last year in the championship run step up when Giannis got hurt as well last year. So if you think about it, these guys are kind of built for that. They're already prepared for it in their mindset. Bobby Portis was the guy that stepped up for Giannis last year. So stepping in for Middleton, sure, he's not going to be able to score the points, but he's able to play that defense and contain guys. So that's going to be a huge key for Portis and this Bucks run to try to, back-to-back the championship here.
Yeah, so I think I believe the Bucks would go on to play Miami. Is that right, Tanner?
Miami's the 1 seed.
I think the Bucks are the 4, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought Bucks would. Hold on, I can tell you.
You can look it up real quick, but if they're playing Miami, I mean, honestly,
they're the 3 seed. 3 seed.
They're the 3, so they've got to match up with Philly next.
Yeah, so they'd match up with Philly. So Miami.
Well, there you have it right there. I mean,
Miami would actually play most likely Philly if Philly wins that series.
Okay.
And then Boston would then play the Bucks.
Oh, Boston versus the Bucks.
Correct.
So either way, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm going to give the Celtics credit, even though the Nets have imploded. I'm going to give the Celtics credit, and they are an elite defensive team, and it'll be very interesting to watch Milwaukee go up against that Celtics team. I do think that Milwaukee would win the series, but it's going to be a bloodbath. If you don't have Chris Middleton, dude, I mean, you're basically even with any of those teams, whether it's the Sixers, even Miami. I mean, I think Miami could at least make it a 7-game series against the Bucks if that was ultimately the Eastern Conference Championship.
That's right. And we got the final here. Boston 116, Nets 112. The Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons are all gone from the playoffs here. So we'll see what unfolds on that drama as well. Well, Jason, anything else you want to talk about NBA-wise before we jet out here?
I would just say that I am completely dumbfounded by the fact that if you're in a bet preseason, that the odds-on favorites were the Lakers versus the Nets in the NBA Finals, and they both turned into a disaster. I'm totally dumbfounded by it. I thought that the Nets would at least put up a fight. I didn't think that Ben Simmons would chicken out and try to fake another injury leading into Game 4, or at least get us a game. I mean, but yeah, I mean, what a disaster. I mean, that's like some Jerry Jones Dallas Cowboys shit right there.
It's some rough stuff, and we'll have to talk about it a week from Wednesday. Really bring that up too on our post-draft reactions and everything going on. So we'll make sure that we'll touch base on this drama situation.
We promise not to talk about the Lakers ever again until next year. We might talk about LeBron, but hopefully we won't have to talk about the Lakers ever again.
We'll see. So, guys, just a reminder, this Thursday, NFL Draft live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. The Buffoons will be here. We'll have different podcast guests that represent their own teams, which is going to be really cool. Even possible a pro football player, former pro football player, will be joining us for one of those picks as well. And then we're just going to have a fun time here, and we'll be doing some cool things during the draft. So we're going to give our reactions, our takes as well. So make sure you guys don't miss it this Thursday on the Buffoons here. So other than that, JG, thanks for joining me here on a kind of short notice, but got some NBA talk in.
All right, we're out, guys. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, guys. All right, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you Thursday.